At the class reunion, the married ones egged the singles on to play a game called Fate Match. All the single guys reached their hands under a red cloth. And the single girls, relying purely on intuition, would take the hand of the person destined for them that night. Diana and I had been together for 8 years, but we had never made it public. Still, I was pushed into joining. When it was her turn, I stretched my hand out straight, but the moment the red cloth was lifted, the one she was holding was Logan, the one she had never quite gotten over back then. The room instantly erupted. Not bad. So after all the twists and turns, it's still you two. Even blind picking led you back to each other. Now that's real fate. Such a perfect match. Talented guy, beautiful girl, made for each other. Diana blushed, leaning shyly toward him. Logan smiled and didn't pull away. I lowered my head and glanced at the back of my hand. That raised scar was from 8 years ago, when I took a bottle meant for her. She had said she would never mistake it for anything else in her life. Turns out, a lifetime can be that short. Chapter 1. There were more single women than men at the scene. After the game ended, a few pairs were formed, while several people were left alone. I was one of them. That game just now was only meant to give you single folks a chance to consider each other, just a joke. Don't take it seriously. As the class monitor finished speaking, a few scattered laughs rose in the private room. Among those newly formed pairs, one was a couple who had once been each other's biggest what if. So the laughter carried a subtle satisfaction, like a successful push. Hey, don't say that. Maybe some people just need a chance like this to make up for past regrets. How can you not take it seriously? The class monitor chuckled and waved his hand. All right. Take it seriously then, just make sure you finish this drink, so no one gets upset. Come on, eat up, don't just focus on drinking. He gestured for the dishes to be passed around. Someone chimed in. Look at the class monitor caring about us singles, afraid we'll stay hungry so we can keep getting emotionally wrecked. Another round of laughter followed. The whole table was lively. I picked up a piece of cold dish and chewed slowly. There was too much vinegar. It was so sour it made the tip of my tongue go numb, but it did suppress that indescribable feeling stuck in my throat. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Diana lean back, her gaze casually sweeping across the room before pausing for a moment. I knew she was looking at me. I didn't lift my head. I simply picked up my teacup and took a sip. Only after her gaze moved away did I gently set the cup down. By the way, the class monitor suddenly turned to me, his face full of friendly enthusiasm. What about you, Nathan? Any plans lately? I heard from Alan you're still single. I can't believe it. I smiled faintly. I'm not single. The room went quiet for a second. Diana's hand froze midair as she looked up at me. For a brief moment, there was a blankness in her eyes. Then I saw her take out her phone from her pocket, her fingers hovering above the screen for a moment. My phone vibrated. I didn't even need to look to know who it was. In 8 years, she only messaged me this urgently when she was afraid I might say something I shouldn't. I didn't lower my head, nor did I touch my phone. Oh, since when? Alan leaned closer. Who's the girl? You were just playing the singles game, hiding it pretty well. Huh? The girl? I met Alan's curious gaze. She's great, down to earth, treats me well. How did you meet? Alan pressed on. How come I've never seen you post anything about her? Before I could answer, a soft cough came from across the table. Diana lifted her wine glass, her tone casual. Alan, what are you doing? Checking his background. If he doesn't want to say, don't push it. Alan scratched his nose awkwardly. All right, I won't ask. Let's drink. Diana tilted her head back and finished her glass in one go. I picked up my teacup and took another sip. The tea had gone cold, and the bitterness was even stronger. The topic soon shifted away from me and onto Diana. Alan, with his booming voice, was the first to start. Hey Diana, come to think of it, you're the one who should be interrogated, right? What's going on with you, our campus heartthrob? Exactly, someone immediately echoed. Back then, the people chasing you could line up all the way to the school gate. Why are you still single now? Diana leaned back in her chair, that familiar smile resting on her lips, but she didn't answer. Could it be? Alan dragged out his tone, his gaze moving back and forth between Diana and Logan. You've always had someone in your heart, so no one else ever measured up. Logan lowered his head, the tips of his ears turning slightly red. The room burst into laughter. Damn, Alan, that sounds loaded. Isn't it obvious? Everyone knows what happened back then. Oh wow. Then this fate match today is really. The teasing grew louder and louder. Logan looked a bit uncomfortable under everyone's laughter. He picked up his glass and took a sip. Don't talk nonsense. Diana neither confirmed nor denied it, but the smile on her lips deepened just a little. Chapter 2. 8 years. I could read every one of her expressions clearly. That faint smile, what did it mean? It meant she didn't dislike what was being implied. It meant she was allowing everyone to tease her like this. It meant Logan's flushed ears pleased her. The glass in my hand was cold, the chill traveling from my palm straight to my chest. Diana, say something already, someone urged impatiently. She finally spoke, her voice lazy. Say what? Tell us if it's true or not. She let out a soft laugh and set her empty glass on the table. What answer do you want to hear? That response was even more suggestive than a direct admission. The private room instantly became as lively as a festival. Logan's lips curved into a faint smile, light shining in his eyes. I used to have that same light in my eyes, but at some point, it had dimmed little by little, dimmed to the point where I stood here like an outsider, listening as others teased her about another man. All right. The class monitor cut in at the right moment. Don't put her on the spot. Come on, let's drink. Glasses clinked again. I raised my cup of long cold tea as well. Logan coughed twice from choking on his drink. Diana turned her head to look at him, then casually took his glass away and replaced it with a cup of hot water. I lowered my head, staring at the soggy tea leaves at the bottom of my cup. Our class gathered once a year. Year after year, the seating changed, the topics shifted, but one thing had remained unchanged for 8 years. She had never once served me food, poured me water, or even called me by my full name in public, because she wanted to avoid suspicion. She said she didn't want to go public, too troublesome, too many rumors, too many complications. I believed her. I waited 8 years, waited until I got used to sitting a little farther away from her. Used to her walking past me without even glancing my way. Used to being a proper, ordinary classmate, until this year, when Logan finally returned to the country and showed up at our reunion. Only then did I realize, the person she wanted the whole world to know about, was him. I unlocked my phone. The glaring message she had just sent appeared on the screen. Don't say anything. I stared at those words until my eyes stung. My fingers unconsciously traced the scar on the back of my hand. 8 years, it had long since stopped hurting, but tonight, for some reason, it itched intensely, as if something was growing out from the cracks of my bones, inch by inch, only to rot away just as it emerged. Hey, speaking of which, a female classmate suddenly said, Logan, now that you're back, you'd better hurry. Your parents said if you still can't find someone, you're not allowed to go back again. That's not happening. Someone immediately responded. Exactly, with so many amazing women in our class, how could we let you get sent away? Logan pressed his lips together in a smile but didn't respond. Well, isn't there a perfect candidate right here? Alan's gaze flicked toward Diana. The teasing erupted instantly. Right, Diana. Your chance to shine. Hurry up, don't keep him waiting. Talented guy, beautiful girl, made for each other. Diana couldn't hold her composure. Her face slightly flushed as she was nudged closer to Logan. She didn't say anything, but she didn't pull away either. That unreadable smile still lingered on her lips. She said nothing, but saying nothing was already her answer. Something suddenly crossed my mind. I opened my chat with my father and finally replied to the question he had asked me countless times. All right, we have no objections to the wedding date. Chapter 3. I had just put my phone down, when Jordan, sitting diagonally across from me, suddenly leaned over. A wedding date, Nathan, you're getting married? His voice wasn't loud, but it came at just the right moment. The teasing in the room had just died down. Several pairs of eyes turned toward me at once. I smiled, not denying it. Yeah, I'm not getting any younger. My parents picked a date. Holy shit. Alan was the first to explode. We just found out you have a girlfriend. And now you're jumping straight to marriage? Who is this mysterious girl of yours? Don't tell me she's one of our old classmates. When's the wedding? Questions came one after another. The atmosphere lively again. I laughed it off, trying to brush it aside. But just as I was about to deflect, Logan suddenly spoke. Hey, don't be like that. If you ask too much, you'll make him embarrassed. But since it's already decided, you must have been together for a long time, right, Nathan? That question made the room fall silent for a moment. All eyes were on me. I curved my lips slightly. We've known each other for half a month. She's a good person. That hit even harder. Even the figure sitting across from me, who had been silent all along, straightened up. Wait, Nathan, are you serious? Yeah, with your situation. You're getting married after knowing someone for just half a month. It's not a rushed marriage, I said calmly, taking a sip of tea. When you meet the right person, and your 8 characters are compatible, half a month is enough. Author's note. The 8 characters, a traditional Chinese system used to interpret a person's destiny based on their birth time. Diana still held the same posture. Over the years, I had hinted more than once that I wanted to settle down. Half a month ago, I had even asked her for her 8 characters, saying my parents would check for an auspicious date. She knew about that. A thin layer of frost flashed across her face, then melted back into that composed expression. Perhaps she felt relieved that I said half a month instead of 8 years. Congratulations. Logan spoke first, smiling slightly. So when's the wedding? This question could no longer be avoided. I didn't dodge it this time. Next Saturday. I hope everyone can come. Logan raised his glass toward me. That's great. But honestly, I thought. Someone caught the implication and laughed. Thought what? I thought. Logan paused, his gaze drifting subtly across the table. I thought you'd wait a few more years. Wait for someone to finally come to their senses. Back then, the way you chased after Diana, we all thought you'd never marry anyone but her. Just as the room grew a little awkward, he added, but this is good too. You finally figured things out. Diana. Someone teased. He's getting married, aren't you going to say something? Diana leaned back in her chair, not even lifting her eyelids. That's all in the past. I couldn't help but laugh. The past. What did they know? Back then, it was Diana who pursued me, but because we never made it public, everyone in class assumed that everything I did, the care, the effort, the affection a boyfriend would naturally give, was just me being a simp. And she, who could have at least said, we were together, chose instead to let that relationship be seen as nothing more than my one-sided joke. All right, come on. Cheers, cheers, the class monitor called out, raising his glass. Let's celebrate one more single person off the market in our class. Glasses clinked together. Chapter 4. The next half hour passed by quite smoothly for me. I chatted with a few of the guys about work, listened to them complain about mortgages and raising kids, occasionally chiming in with a casual, yeah, it's really tough. Logan tried several times to steer the conversation toward my fiancé, but I subtly deflected each attempt. When the gathering ended, everyone started leaving in small groups. Nathan. Logan's voice came from behind, carrying a hint of hesitation. It's pretty late, could you? No. Diana, could you give me a ride? I just got back to the country, haven't bought a car yet, and the hotel I'm staying at is kind of far out. I bent down to pick up my coat, not pausing for even a second. The room instantly erupted into teasing. Oh, do you even need to ask? Of course she'll take you. Diana, here's your chance to shine. I straightened up and walked past them. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Diana standing beside Logan. She smiled faintly. Let's go. Clean, decisive, no hesitation. I pushed the door open. A gust of cold wind rushed down my collar, blowing the lively voices behind me far away. The numbers in the elevator ticked down one by one. When I saw the number 8, I suddenly thought of that summer 8 years ago. Logan had transferred abroad, and Diana, drunk in a bar, got into an argument. Without thinking, I stepped in and took a bottle meant for her. While getting stitches at the hospital, she held my hand tightly, repeating over and over, I'll never mistake it again. This scar is my mark, I'll recognize it for the rest of my life. Turns out, the rest of my life is this short. Short enough that once the game ended, she held someone else's hand. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. My phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from Diana. You handled things pretty smartly today, but saying you're getting married next Saturday is too reckless. Wait until I get back, we'll figure out how to fix this. I let out a small laugh and exited the chat. There was no need to fix anything anymore. At 8 in the morning, I woke from a light sleep. Diana had just come back. Seeing me sitting at the edge of the bed, she froze for a moment. You're up so early. She took off her coat and walked over, her tone casual. What's gotten into you? You didn't text me all night. I finally looked up at her. Yeah, in the past, whenever she came home late, I would always stay up, staring at my phone, waiting. Then why didn't you reply? I asked. She walked to the bedside table, picked up a glass of water, and drank with her back to me. Last night I drove Logan back. His place is far and pretty secluded. He insisted on not letting me drive alone that late, so I just stayed there for a few hours. I've already booked him a 5-star hotel, she added, her tone carrying a hint of reassurance. The security is good, so you don't have to worry in the future. I said nothing. There were many questions I could have asked. For example, stayed for a few hours. On the couch, or on the bed? But I didn't want to ask any more. Over the past 8 years, she had treated me well. Even though we never made our relationship public, she had always maintained clear boundaries with other men. I just didn't want to admit. Those boundaries would blur whenever it involved Logan. If he posted late at night saying he couldn't sleep, she would keep him company chatting until 3 a.m. If he said he missed home, she would regularly send local specialties from his hometown. Every year on his birthday, she would calculate the time difference just to send him a happy birthday. These were things she would do for me, her boyfriend, but also things she would do for him. I had asked her about it countless times. Every time, she had 100 different reasons to make me drop it. And this time, whatever the reason was, it didn't matter anymore. Chapter 5. She set the glass down, her gaze falling on the suitcase on the floor, her brows furrowed slightly. What are you doing? Going home. I placed a sweater inside, my tone calm. Before the wedding, I need to stay back for a few days. It's a hometown custom, not meeting the bride before the ceremony. She froze for a moment, then walked over and crouched beside me. She reached out and pressed down on another piece of clothing I was about to pack. It was just a joke. Don't keep this going. I met her eyes. It's not a joke. The 8 characters have been checked, they're very compatible. I lowered my gaze, pulling the clothes out from under her hand. If I don't get married this year, I'll have to wait another 2 years. She looked at me, the usual casualness in her eyes fading. After a long pause, she suddenly said, 2 years is fine too. Once I'm done being busy these 2 years, we can have an even better wedding. My hand paused mid-motion. 2 years. I remembered, 2 years ago, she had said the exact same thing. It was as if, in her mind, my life contained endless 2 years. When the time comes, just say something in the class group chat, she continued, her tone softening, coaxing. Say you were drunk, that the whole, getting married next Saturday, thing was nonsense. Anyway, no one took it seriously. I didn't drink. I stood up, setting the suitcase upright. They all know I'm allergic to alcohol. She froze slightly, as if she had suddenly realized there were things about me she had never really remembered. I glanced at my watch, ready to leave. Are you done making a scene? Her voice finally grew colder. Isn't it just because I didn't say anything at the reunion? Is it really worth using something like this to throw a tantrum? I looked at her, about to say something, when she suddenly pinched the bridge of her nose. There's something I didn't tell you, actually. Before she could finish, her phone rang. She glanced at it, then walked to the window to answer. The call was brief. After hanging up, she stood there for a few seconds in silence before saying, something came up with Logan. I need to go check on him. We'll talk when I get back. She grabbed her coat and hurried out. 2 hours later, Diana's car stopped at the entrance of the apartment complex. Logan was sitting in the passenger seat. Sorry for the trouble, he said with an apologetic smile. I really can't get used to hotels here. I might have to trouble you for the next couple of days. Hope it's not inconvenient. Diana's hand paused slightly. It's fine. She needed to think about how to explain this to Nathan. Just a few sentences would do. He had always been reasonable. She took out her phone and started typing as she walked. Logan will be staying tonight. After a moment's thought, she deleted it. Better to explain in person. Sooner or later, their situation would be known anyway. She opened the door. The entryway was quiet. Logan dragged his suitcase inside, looking around the apartment. The place is nicely decorated, he commented. Living alone in such a big apartment. Ah. Diana followed behind, her gaze sweeping across the living room. Almost unconsciously, she took a few steps toward the bedroom. The door was open. The bed was neatly made. The books that had been on the bedside table were gone. Diana. Logan's voice came from the living room. Do you have any water? I'm a bit thirsty. She stood there, as if she hadn't heard him. Something in her mind lagged, like it was a step too slow to catch up. Chapter 6. Diana. She snapped back to her senses and turned, walking out. Logan stood in the middle of the living room, looking at her, the smile on his face carrying a subtle edge. What were you thinking about? I called you several times and you didn't respond. Nothing. She walked toward the kitchen, took out a bottle of water, and handed it to him. Thanks. Logan accepted it, sat down on the sofa, and looked around. Your place is pretty comfortable. Doesn't it feel lonely living here alone? Lonely. Of course it wasn't lonely. Nathan had never allowed this home to feel that way. There would always be handwritten notes from him on the fridge, daily greetings. A spare key he had prepared sat neatly in the entryway. That ugly storage box under the coffee table held all the little odds and ends. The plants on the balcony, he had taken care of them for years. In the bedside drawer, there was always stomach medicine he had prepared. Whenever she stayed up late, he would quietly leave a cup of hot water by her side, then walk away without disturbing her. This home was filled with traces of him, but now, she stood in the middle of the living room and suddenly realized, all those traces were gone. Logan walked around once, then suddenly said, this place is really nice. I'd like to stay a few more days. Is that okay? Diana froze for a moment. Then a thought crossed her mind, maybe it was better that Nathan wasn't here. That way she wouldn't have to explain why Logan was moving in. She wouldn't have to look into Nathan's hurt eyes as he said, it's fine. No need to coax him. No need to feel guilty. She turned and walked into the bedroom. When she opened the wardrobe, she realized, not a single piece of his clothing was left. Something suddenly felt off. It was too clean, as if he had never lived here at all. As if the traces of 3 years had been completely erased in one night when she wasn't home. Diana. Logan called her from downstairs. She walked back down. Only then did she notice he was standing by the coffee table, holding something in his hand. What's this? A gift for some guy? He shook the small box slightly, smiling at her. It looks pretty nice. Diana recognized the box. It was the bracelet she had given Nathan on his birthday when they first got together. He had cherished it, afraid of damaging it, so he had always kept it safely stored away. He didn't take it with him. Something inside her chest suddenly caved in, just a little. Give it to me. She walked over, took the box from his hand, and opened it. The bracelet lay neatly inside, a silver chain with a small blue pendant, glimmering under the light. "Your boyfriend's?" Logan asked. She didn't answer. She just stared at the bracelet. Something he had treasured so much, he must have forgotten it. "Yeah." In the end, she answered almost instinctively. Logan froze. The corner of his lips twitched, as if he wanted to smile, but couldn't. Then, he paused, his tone carrying a hint of playful coaxing. "Give it to me, then I'll be your boyfriend." Diana lifted her eyes and looked at him. Then she gently closed the box. "Not this one," she said. He'd be upset, afraid things would get awkward. She added, "If you like something, pick it yourself. I'll pay." The smile on Logan's face stiffened for a moment, then slowly faded. "Who is he?" he asked. "The guy from the reunion." Logan followed her, his voice tightening. "The one who said he's getting married?" She stopped in front of the sofa, her back to him, not turning around. "Diana, do you know why I went abroad back then?" Logan walked around to face her, his eyes already reddening. "Because I saw how close you were getting with him." She lowered her gaze and said nothing. "I've been waiting for you." Logan's voice trembled. "All those years overseas, every time someone pursued me, I kept thinking, what if you were still waiting for me? What if you just weren't ready yet?" Chapter 7. He took a deep breath and looked at her. "Diana, I could already tell at the reunion, Nathan cares about you. And you, the one you care about is me, isn't it? He wasn't there today because of me, right? Let's stop lying to ourselves. If he really liked you, how could he run away like a coward? Doesn't he even have the courage to compete with me fairly?" Diana raised her eyes. "He just went back home to prepare for the wedding," she said. Her tone was so firm that even she found it surprising. "We already discussed this. Prepare for a wedding." Logan let out a short laugh. "Didn't he say the person he's marrying is someone he's only known for half a month?" Diana didn't respond, but she knew it clearly in her heart. That person was her. The whole half a month. The so-called compatible 8 characters, it was all something he made up out of frustration. He had asked her for her 8 characters before, saying he would take them home for his parents to check. So the one he matched with was her. The one he intended to marry was also her. "Diana." Logan stepped closer. "Your relationship was never made public. And yet he says he's going to marry someone he's only known for half a month." Logan lifted his hand and gently placed it on her arm. "Wake up. Okay, he doesn't even." "Logan." She cut him off, pulling her arm back, her voice turning distant. "Nathan and I have our own way of being together. If you have other intentions, then you shouldn't stay here." Logan's hand froze in midair. "I'll book you a hotel nearby. If you need anything, I'll be around." I was out of line. Logan forced a smile, trying to look composed. "Sorry." He paused, lowering his gaze, his voice softening. "Don't worry. I don't have any other intentions. I just wanted someone to talk to. I can't get used to hotels. In a few days, once my mom finishes her business, we'll leave the country again. You're my good friend. You wouldn't refuse to help me with something like this, right?" Diana stood there, unmoving. That night, she couldn't fall asleep. For 3 years, he had always slept on the left side, and she on the right. Now the left side was empty, and the bed felt much bigger. She couldn't sleep. Her mind was a mess. One moment it was the image of him packing his suitcase. The next it was Logan standing in the living room asking, "Doesn't it feel lonely living alone?" Then, somehow, her thoughts drifted back to the past. Back then, she and Logan were the pair everyone in class loved to tease. One was the campus beauty, the other the campus heartthrob. Even sitting together in class would earn whistles. It wasn't that she had never felt anything for him, but there was that rich girl who pursued Logan. Every gift she gave was a limited edition, entire counters worth at a time. Diana had looked at her own empty pockets, and didn't even have the courage to compete. Then she met Nathan. He was completely different from Logan. He never made her guess his feelings, never got upset if she didn't reply to messages, never played those push and pull games. When she was in a bad mood and didn't want to talk, he would simply stay quietly by her side. Even the sound of him turning pages soft and careful. He made her realize that being loved didn't require proving anything. So she pursued him. After chasing him for half a year, they got together. It was just that, before she succeeded, she didn't want to make their relationship public. Maybe it was out of stubbornness. Back then, chasing Logan had been so exhausting. Now that someone loved her so easily, she wanted to hide it, to prove something, to prove that she was worthy of being loved, to prove that she didn't need to try so hard for someone to want her, to prove that the poor girl who once couldn't even lift her head in front of a rich rival, now had someone completely devoted to her. And later, it became a habit of hiding, a habit of making him wait, a habit of brushing him off with, "Just wait a little longer," every time he said, "Maybe we should go public." She had never thought that this waiting would last 8 years. 8 years. For the first time, she suddenly felt that it had been unfair to Nathan. He had never thrown a tantrum, never forced her, never threatened a breakup. The only time he had ever been willful was at the reunion, when he said he was getting married, and even then, he said it in such an indirect way, so as not to put her in a difficult position. 8 years, there should have been an outcome by now, and yet he had been so humble that he had to use a method like this just to push for marriage. Chapter 8. She lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, she felt that maybe she had really done something wrong. She picked up her phone and sent him a message, but it sank without a trace. He had always been gentle, but sometimes he could be stubborn too. Maybe she had really gone too far at the reunion. Back then, under the red cloth, when she touched that scar, she had already guessed it was his hand. And yet, she still chose someone else. The hand she truly wanted to hold. She had been paying attention to it ever since people started suggesting the fate match game. The accessories he wore, the shape of his fingers, and then she reached out and took it precisely. She thought it was just a game. She thought she could take this chance to openly hold the hand she hadn't dared to hold in her youth, just to satisfy that vague, indescribable selfish desire. She thought he would understand, but she forgot. It was the first time in 8 years that he had stretched his hand out so straight. He was afraid of not being chosen, and she forgot that he could feel pain too. In the days that followed, she didn't send a single message. It wasn't that she didn't want to, she just didn't know what to say. Stop being like this and come back. But this time, didn't he have every right to be upset? I miss you. But she didn't even dare to make their relationship public. What right did she have to say she missed him? What he wanted was just that wedding on Saturday, but it was too rushed. What could she even say? That she needed time to prepare? Logan had been quiet these past few days. He really was just staying there. No boundaries crossed. Diana went to work and came home every day. But every time she returned to the empty living room, it always felt like something was missing. On Friday night, she lay on her bed scrolling through her phone. She tapped into his profile picture and hesitated for a moment. Still, she typed, "Nathan, I'm sorry. The 8 characters I gave you last time were fake. I'll come find you on Saturday, and we'll go together with your parents to check them again." Okay, she sent it, expecting a flood of angry replies. Instead, a red exclamation mark. She stared at that red exclamation mark for a long time. A sudden unease crept into her chest. He had never done this before. Even when they argued, he would at most go silent for a few days. Once she messaged him, he would reply. She had always thought he would be like that forever. Always there, always waiting, always forgiving. But now, he had blocked her. The next second, someone posted a video in the class group chat. Door crashing for wedding gifts. The bride is stunning. The bridesmaids are ruthless. The groom's about to cry, ha ha ha. She tapped on it casually. In the video, a door covered with bright red wedding decorations was pushed open. A crowd surged in, red envelopes flying everywhere, laughter filling the air. The camera shook wildly, then finally stopped on one figure, a bright red traditional wedding dress. Her fingers froze. The camera zoomed in. That face appeared clearly on the screen. It was a girl who looked somewhat familiar. She suddenly sat up, dragged the video back to the beginning, and watched it again, and again. The men beside her, dressed in a suit, being held down and forced to hand out red envelopes. Was that Nathan? Chapter 9. The group chat kept flooding with messages. Wait, Nathan really got married? I thought he was joking at the reunion. Who's the bride? Does anyone know her? You guys who didn't come really missed out. Turns out Nathan's secret girlfriend is actually Michelle, the top student back then. Holy shit, it's really her. Nathan's got game. Getting married after knowing each other for half a month. If that's not fate, what is? Congrats, congrats. See you all at the wedding tomorrow. Message after message popped up. She couldn't process a single one. The phone trembled in her hand, the screen's light stabbing into her eyes. Half a month. Michelle. Then what about her? What about her 8 years? Nathan, how could he? Diana stood up, barefoot, and walked out. Logan came out of the guest room and was startled when he saw her. Diana, what's wrong? She ignored him, rushed into the living room, grabbed a spare phone, found a number, and dialed. No answer. She stood there, her hand shaking as she gripped the phone. Logan walked over, silent for a few seconds, then gently wrapped his arms around her from behind. Diana. His voice was soft. You still have me. She froze. A few seconds later, she pulled his hands away. No, she said, her voice hoarse, almost unrecognizable. You're not the one I want. Logan stood there, stunned. She had already opened her phone and booked a flight to Nathan's hometown. Only now did she finally realize. When he said he was going back home to prepare for the wedding, he wasn't joking. It wasn't a bluff. He was really going to marry someone else. She had thought he was just being emotional, that there was still time. So she gave him space to calm down, didn't disturb him too much, she thought. Her phone vibrated again. A new message appeared in the group chat. She tapped it open, Someone had sent a photo. Inside a wedding car, the bride, dressed in traditional attire, leaned against Nathan's shoulder, smiling sweetly. The bride's been picked up wishing him happiness. This is great. Back in school Nathan used to tutor me. I really hope he's happy. Top student plus top student. They're such a perfect match. Yeah. Back then Nathan's grades were good enough for a better university, but for some reason he ended up going to that one. Whatever the reason, at least now he's got his happy ending. Diana stared at the screen, her finger hovering in midair. They didn't know why he chose that university. She did, because back then, she had once said, "It'd be nice if you could stay by my side," and he changed his application. And later, she had indeed done her part, made sure he never worried about food or clothes, gave him a comfortable life, gave him a home in the city, but she had never given him a name, a place. Work was busy, social obligations endless, colleagues talkative, timing never right. She always had 100 reasons to delay it, delayed it until he didn't need it anymore, delayed it until he didn't want it anymore. When Diana arrived at the hotel, the wedding had already ended 2 hours ago. The banquet hall doors were wide open, staff clearing the tables. "Excuse me," she grabbed a server. "Where's the groom?" "He already left." The wedding car drove off around 2. "Where did he go?" The server glanced at her and shook their head. "How would I know?" She turned and ran. The parking lot. The wedding car shouldn't have gone far yet. Guests still needed to be sent off. Outfits returned. Gift money counted. He should still be nearby. She ran down the corridor, through the hotel lobby, and into the parking lot. She scanned car after car. No wedding car, no bride in red. Only a few scattered guests getting into their vehicles, preparing to leave. And then she saw it. Beside a black sedan stood 2 people. One of them was Nathan. He was speaking to a man with his head slightly lowered. That man was Jordan, their mutual classmate. Diana slowed her steps and stopped where she was. Nathan suddenly lifted his head. His gaze swept over, and paused on her face for a second. Jordan followed his line of sight, froze for a moment, then frowned. "Diana." He took a couple of steps forward, surprise in his tone. "Why are you here? The wedding's already over. Who are you looking for?" "My boyfriend." She stared straight at Nathan. Jordan froze. He glanced back at Nathan, then turned to her again. "Your boyfriend came to Nathan's wedding too." Diana walked around him, heading toward Nathan. Jordan stepped in front of her, his voice rising slightly. "Diana, Nathan's been exhausted all day. If you're looking for your boyfriend, maybe check the main hall. He might not have left yet." "He is my boyfriend," she said, her voice sharp. "Nathan is the man I've been dating for 8 years. Chapter 10. Jordan froze. A few seconds later, he let out a laugh, one filled with disbelief. "What are you even talking about? When did he become your boyfriend?" "At the reunion last week. You were still saying you were single." Diana ignored him, her eyes fixed on Nathan. "Nathan," she called, her voice slightly hoarse. "Listen to me." But suddenly, she didn't know what to say. What could she say? That she was wrong, that she regretted it, that she lost her mind the moment she saw that video. Jordan looked at her, then at Nathan, his expression slowly turning into shock. "Nathan, is it true?" Jordan's voice changed. "You too, 8 years. You never said anything. At the reunion you never." He suddenly stopped, as if something clicked in his mind. "So that day at the reunion," he turned to Diana, a trace of anger in his voice. "You sat next to Logan the entire time, blocking drinks for him, handing him water, letting him lean on you, letting people tease you too." "Jordan." Nathan cut him off. Jordan fell silent, though the corners of his eyes were flushed with emotion. Nathan lifted his head and looked at Diana. "Why are you here?" Diana took a step forward. "Nathan, I came to take you home." Nathan looked at her without speaking. His gaze was calm, like still, lifeless water. That calmness made Diana's heart panic. "There's no going back," he finally said. Diana froze. "Why?" Nathan curved his lips slightly. "Simple. Because our 8 characters aren't compatible." Her expression stiffened for a moment. Then she spoke quickly, almost urgently. "That's not true. Listen to me. The 8 characters I gave you before were fake. I was afraid that if your parents saw they were compatible, they'd push for marriage even more. So I just made something up. You're a modern guy. I thought you wouldn't want to get married so early. Your career's just starting. Life is still long. Being tied down by marriage would be such a waste." She looked at him, that familiar, self-assured gentleness in her eyes, as if saying, "See, I understand you. I'm thinking for your sake." Nathan suddenly felt like laughing. So in these 8 years, she had never known what he truly wanted. She thought he didn't want marriage. She thought he was like her, needing to hide, to wait. She thought all his hints, his careful suggestions, his hesitant, "Maybe we should go public," were just him playing along with her. She didn't know. Every morning he woke up, looking at the person beside him. All he thought about was when he could finally, openly call her his wife. She didn't know. Every time he passed by a bridal shop, he would take a second glance, imagining what she would look like in a wedding dress. She didn't know. She didn't know anything. Diana. He said her name softly. Do you know something? When my parents urged me to get married, it wasn't because they were anxious for me to find a wife. She froze. It was because they were afraid I had waited too long, and that I might end up with nothing. The look on her face was like she had just been struck, still not fully processing it. She stepped forward, panic creeping into her voice like never before. Then we'll calculate it again. This time I'll give you the real 8 characters. Go back and tell your parents the previous one was fake. Have them find someone to recalculate. Nathan let out a soft laugh. It was so light, it sounded almost like a sigh. No need. What? No need to calculate again, he said, because from the very beginning, I never let my parents calculate your 8 characters at all. Diana froze. I just wanted to see what you would say. Nathan looked at her, and for the first time, there was something in his gaze. Fatigue, relief, and the final letting go. I tried every possible way to tell you that I wanted a family, that I wanted an ending, with you. He paused. But he smiled faintly. You gave me fake 8 characters, and told me not to overthink it. In the distance, a black car slowly pulled up. A woman in a white wedding dress stepped out and walked quickly toward them. Chapter 11. Nathan. She walked to his side, her gaze sweeping over Diana. She didn't ask anything, just draped the coat in her hand over his shoulders. It's cold. Don't catch a chill. Nathan lowered his head to look at her and smiled. Diana stared at the woman. It was her, the one sitting on the wedding bed in the video, the one holding his hand at the wedding. Nathan. Her voice was hoarse. Even if you're angry at me, you shouldn't treat something as important as marriage so carelessly. Do you even know her? What's her name? What does she do? What's her family like? How long have you even known her? Nathan looked at her and suddenly curved his lips. The smile was faint, but it made Diana's heart drop. The fortune teller said our 8 characters are very compatible, he said. Diana froze. Just because of the 8 characters? Her voice rose, trembling. You married someone you've only known for half a month just because of that? It wasn't entirely a new acquaintance. Back in school, as the top 2 students, they had once competed neck and neck. But Nathan didn't say more. Diana rushed forward, reaching out to grab him. Michelle stepped in front of him, catching Diana's wrist firmly. Miss, it's not appropriate to be pulling at my husband. At the same time, 2 uniformed security guards appeared from nowhere, grabbing Diana by the arms on both sides. Let go of me. Diana struggled, her eyes locked on Nathan. Nathan, 8 years. We were together for 8 years, and you're just walking away like this. You can't marry her, I won't allow it. Nathan didn't look at her. When he turned away, it was so smooth, like he had already set down something he had carried for far too long. The moment the car door closed, Diana stopped struggling. She stood there, held by the guards, watching as the black car slowly drove out of the parking lot. The taillights grew farther and farther away, until they disappeared into the night. Tears hit the ground, shattering those 8 hidden years. How had she lost him by hiding him away? In the car, Nathan leaned back against the seat, watching the streetlights slide past outside the window. Actually, these past 2 years, I've been asking a matchmaker to visit your house, Michelle said gently. I really thought you were single. I didn't expect. She paused and glanced at him through the rearview mirror. You married me. Was it really just because our 8 characters matched? Nathan turned to look at her. The passing lights outside the window swept across her face, illuminating the sincerity in her eyes. He smiled. No matter what, compatibility in 8 characters is important, isn't it? He said. As for what comes next, he paused. Let time prove it. Michelle froze for a moment, then smiled as well. All right. The car drove onto the highway, heading toward home. Nathan turned his face back toward the window. The night was deep, with only scattered lights in the distance. He suddenly thought of that summer 8 years ago, her sitting beside him in the hospital while he got stitches, holding his hand and saying she would never mistake him for anyone else in this lifetime. He lowered his head and looked at the back of his hand. The scar was still there, just as visible as ever, but it had been a long, long time since it last itched.